Good day, good people. Good day, good people. Welcome back to a new episode of Adult Black Dad with your host, Marcus A. Smothers. Glad to be here. Always humbled that you decided to press play and listen to what I have to say on today. Whew, life be life, and that just is what it is. We all are experiencing these different things called life, what life is bringing us, what life is not bringing us. We all got our load to carry. And so if you can find a way to encourage someone else as they are going through this thing called life, do it. It won't take nothing from you to do it. It'll probably help you out in the long run. But I challenge you also to not just do it for yourself, but do it for nothing, for looking for nothing in return. Sometimes we do things for people, but we're always looking for a return on it. Just do it because that person may not even be able to return the favor, but just do it anyway. It's just nice to be nice. All right, I got that quick thought out of the way for today. I want to jump right into our topic for today. It's not a controversial topic. It's a conversation that's had about men, but not necessarily with men. And it's around emotions. And when I say that, I ask the question of, are men emotional? There's a lot of conversations around, are men emotional? Do men show too many emotions? Is there a limit of emotions that men should show? I hear the term sassy comes around as it relates to men and how they can show their emotions sometimes. But for me, the short answer of, are men emotional? Short answer is yes. We are. Like, we're humans, we're creatures like everybody else. Even animals show emotions. If you are a pet owner, or your dog shows emotions, your cat shows emotions. Everything that runs through this earth shows emotions. But I think sometimes men are held to a different level playing field when their emotions are starting to show in a certain way. And it's not to say that women are not, because there's not always equal ground where spaces for people to show emotions. If you watch the WNBA, there's a lot of times when women show their emotions, they are now deemed to be overly aggressive. When girls show their emotions on things, they're now labeled as emotional or unstable, which is not fair at all. I can't talk from the lens of how that comes through for women. I just know the lens of it from being a girl dad and seeing how sometimes those conversations about being too emotional cannot play. You know, we can play the same sport, but you don't want our emotions to be the same. So back to what I'm talking about for our men. Men are emotional creatures, but one thing about men, we are very picky on where we show certain emotions at. It always goes back to our level of comfort with within our surroundings or with that particular person. If I'm not comfortable with you to lay my hat down and show those signs, certain emotions that you may want, I'm not going to do it. Now, is this just towards men, or is this just a way of men thinking? No, I don't know. I'm not a female, so I can't just jump into that brain. But if I'm not 100% comfortable with you, there's only a certain amount of emotions or side of me that you're going to get. And if I have a certain relationship with you, I know what emotions are required based on who I'm dealing with at the time. And I think that sometimes that men do also. We double dutch, and we determine where certain emotions need to be used at certain times, and that's just the way it is. Is it a right thing? Is it a wrong thing? It's just the truth. Society really has not made it easy for men to show all of their emotions. We're only allowed to show certain emotions publicly. And this has even changed or evolved over the years. You know, you go to jobs and they say they want you to be your full self. Bring your full self to work. We want all of you. But then sometimes they say, don't bring your personal business to work. Well, how is that possible? How am I bringing my full self to work, but if I don't bring the parts that are comfortable for you, then we got a problem. Like for me, I can't change, or I can't not bring the fact that I'm a black man born and raised here in Jacksonville, Florida, on the north side of Jacksonville, and I have girls. I have locks. I have tattoos. All of those different things bring a certain part of me. So when you decide to bring me on in any capacity, all of that comes with me. All of that comes with me. How I was raised, my mindsets, all of those things come with me. And even when I'm bringing those things into a relationship, all of that comes with me. You know, there are certain acceptable emotions that men are sometimes allowed to have publicly, but then there are certain emotions that we may not be allowed to have publicly. And then there are just certain expectations that come from what do we have for men. Example, anger. Most black men are identified as just angry. Not, I don't care why. It's just the fact that we are assumed as being angry all the time. Our expected emotions are to always have a desire or want sex or always chasing women. I Prime example. I'll go out somewhere and I'll hold the door for a young lady, and my response or her response to me is, "Oh, I'm already married. Oh, I'm in a relationship." Pause. I'm not trying to holler at you. I'm just trying to be a gentleman and open the door because that's just how I was raised. So, but if you're interpreting me holding the door for you as me just trying to holler at you, come on, let's pump the brakes somewhere. And that goes back to the saying, well, chivalry is dead, or men are not being nice. Well, sometimes when we be nice, it's misinterpreted as I'm trying to get at you. And that's not always the case. Men are expected to always be involved with sports. You know, a lot of questions that I get, I don't get them as much because of my gray. You know, boy, who you play ball for? Or who you? I played ball in Pop Warner. I played freshman year in high school. Then that was it. That was it. I played the YMCA growing up. Shout out to Cleveland Road YMCA. That's where I grew up playing all my little league sports. Big up Forest View. That's why I played Pop Warner at. But that was it. But a lot of times the expectation or the assumption is that most men play sports, especially black men, that we're always chasing money. That money is the thing that identifies us. And it's not. I did another episode in the past that talked about legacy isn't always green. And you can interpret it how you want, but I'm not identified or I'm not solidified by the amount of money that I make. Now, a lot of men, we make money because women like men who have money. So it's like a bait type thing. It's like we don't do it all the time, but you know, we like our things. But my firm foundation is not built in the amount of money that I have. For some, it may be, but for me, it's not that. I may not be able to leave a financial legacy for my kids that is attached to me, but I got a name that I can leave them. I have some people in the earth who I have been good to, or they've had great experiences with me. So based off of that, I have a legacy that I'm leaving with my kids that people would like to do business with them, or doors will be open for them because of the legacy that I left on how I treated somebody. And last but not least, it's everybody's just trying to be hard. Like everybody. That's just it's too tiresome for me personally. Like I don't. It's too tiresome for me. Like you, I'm not. I I tell people like I'm not a fighter. That's just not me. I don't have time to fight. But I am a protector. That I am. I am very protective of my family. I'm not, I'll try to be the one to try to bring peace to a situation, but if it get there, then it just is what it is. I always told people if there's ever an issue in my family, try to talk to me first about it. Like I'm the talker. I'm the one who talks in my family. We can bring it to the table. We can have a sit down conversation about it. But my brothers are not. They're not. They're a little bit more negotiable now. But once upon a time, they were not the negotiation two. That's just a little point. I know they hear this, they go laugh. Um, but those are the feelings that we are expected to embody all the time. But the things that we are not expected, where people become unex, I want to say they become unexpected because I don't even think that goes right. I think people get uncomfortable when men start showing or telling or exposing our feelings to how we truly feel about a thing. Because now you're getting to the point where it's more than just this body, this money, the his shape, it's all of that. Now you're really getting into how he feels about a certain thing. And once we start to get into that, a lot of people start to retreat because it's like, you're not supposed to feel like that. Or if I tell you what you say, it hurt me. What you mean it hurt you? You're supposed to just be able to take that. No, what you said hurt. If I'm bringing my hurt feelings to you, now sometimes I can be associated as less of a man because I'm telling you I'm hurt, but now you're equating that to me being soft. Or if I have a certain pain that I'm feeling right now, to you it's equivalent to me being soft. And most dudes, they not gonna stick around for that too long. Like you're not gonna ask me to communicate, but when I could really communicate my heartstrings with you, now I'm deemed lesser. It's like you gotta decide which part do you want. Do you want this openness side of a whole man? Because it's a lot when you really start to peel back the mind of a man. It's a lot up under these things. We don't talk about rejection. Rejection it doesn't feel good for anybody. So if you telling me somebody who's experienced rejection or they're just good, I can't tell you they lying, but I can't speak for everybody else. Rejection doesn't feel good. I was going through a season, we're going through a season where I was applying for different jobs, and shoot, I knew I was qualified. Call it arrogant, you call it what. This is when the emotions showed up. Yeah, I was arrogant about these things, but it didn't go my way, and I did not get the job that I just knew I was. Shoot, I thought I was overqualified for the job. I convinced myself that I didn't get the job because I was overqualified for the job. But it was a rejection moment. And I had to really sit in that moment and say, that hurt. Like that really hurt me. Confusion. Sometimes as men, we confuse. It just is what it is. Women too. We are as human nature. Sometimes we just get confused because we don't know what this thing called life is taking us through. And if I have to sit in a world where I feel like I have to always have everything figured out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and not to just allow myself to say, hey, I don't know right now, I'm kind of lost. then that internal battle is going to continue to just wrestle with myself. And then I can't do those type of things. Quick note, men are very picky on where they show their full selves. It must be a place where he feels safe with having his emotions or being vulnerable on the table. Because if I give you those emotions and that vulnerability and you weaponize it against me, then that's going to make it even worse. A lot of men do not like to talk about their emotions because sometimes they become weaponized against them. Oh, you a man. Why you feeling like that? Or you a man. You're not supposed to think that way. Well, I do feel that way. I do think that way. And I'm still a man. But if I'm in a constant place where I get nagged or I shared something with you, then later on we're in a conversation and you weaponize that against me. Oh, you remember when you said, come on. But if a man is in a place where he knows that somebody is not going to mistreat him or weaponize the moments that he decided to lay his hair down, to take his hat off and be that vulnerable, he will continue to be at that place. So if you are experiencing a man in your life who you just consistently just saying, he don't tell me nothing, he won't open up, he won't let me in, he might be trying to, but it might not be the way you want him to open up, or it might not be the way you want him to let you in, because that's possible also. Sometimes we want people to be themselves, but the way we want them to be themselves. Like, you can't ask me to be me, but then on the same note, dictate how I should be me. I'm running that back. You can't say you want me to be me, but then you try to dictate how I should be me. Because that's not fair. You have to give me the space to figure out who I am as I give myself to you in that way. Because if not, then it's going to be a big problem. So again, are men emotional? We are. We're very emotional people. But we pick and choose, like everybody else, where we decide to show our emotions. You want to see some emotional men? Go to a football game. You want to see some emotional men? Check out that parlay. See her ask that man how that man didn't get 2 rebounds and messed up his whole parlay for the weekend. You go get some emotions. Mess with his kids. You go get some emotions. Mess with his money. Mess with his mom. You go find out exactly how emotional men really are. And it shows up in those spaces traditionally. But what do you do when the emotions of a man show up in vulnerability? What do you do when the true emotions of a man show up when he's ready to have certain conversations that lead with, I did not appreciate when you did this, because when you did this, it hurt me? Is he now less of a man because he's telling you that you hurt him? Is he now less of a man because he's giving you his vulnerability? I think not. I think he's more of a man because he's willing to give you that side of him and not just blow it in a balloon, which I call the balloon effect. What is the balloon effect? If you take a balloon and you just bit by bit, every time something happens to you, you take your emotions and you just blow them in this balloon. But every time you blow inside of a balloon, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. But just like a balloon, you as a human can only take so much. And what happens when you start to let too much get inside of that balloon? It pops. And now all of the emotions of that person are now showing up in a violent way or in a not so comfortable way, because he never really felt safe to tell you how he felt, so he just popped them there. But then later on, and usually the things that make that balloon pop, it's not that serious. It's just that it was the last piece of or avoidance that I could take. Hey, yo, I'm gonna wrap this up. We've been good on this episode. I appreciate you all kicking with me. Hey, like, share, subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can find it, Dope Black Dad, on YouTube. Subscribe on Spotify. Those of you who are on Apple Music, Amazon, you can find Dope Black Dad there. I appreciate you all. You can find our snippets on Instagram, TikTok. I appreciate you all for your time. It's been real. Appreciate you. I'm out.